Alright, today's drywall video is a ceiling patch. It's a pretty large patch. It's maybe 3 foot by 6 or 7 feet. And also they have about a 6-inch circles, 5 or 6 of those throughout the house. Today's job is for $875. Material cost is going to be $30 maybe. The gas to get there is going to be 5 or 6. So really not that much. So it's going to take me most of the day to do, 6 to 8 hours. This will be my only job today, but still I'm going to make $100 an hour today for 6 to 8 hours, whatever the math is. Pretty good, huh? Change your mindset. I know I keep saying this exact same thing. Change your mindset how money works. Money isn't real. Money's just a made-up concept. And I've just, like in this instance, I've just tweaked a little bit of the rules, right? And I'm making a ton of money. How long would it take you to make $150, right? And so the job's the job's $875, right? How long would it make you to make $850 after materials and things, right? So it probably a long time. That's probably your full paycheck, right? You work 2 weeks and that's your whole paycheck. That's crazy. I'm gonna work 6 to 8 hours and get that much. Change your mindset how it works. It's a game. It's like Monopoly. You just gotta play it a little better. Just change your mindset. Watch this video, do the exact same thing if you want with drywall or any idea you have you can make full-time money from. Thanks. This is the large patch I was referring to, and it actually ended up being just about 4 foot wide and 7 foot long, so it's a pretty good sized patch. He said that the kitchen upstairs leaked or something and caused this much damage, which is unfortunate, but it happens often. So first thing I'm doing here is I'm pulling out all of the old screws and then just kind of transferring them to the edges of the old drywall just to kind of secure it. Now I'm taking my oscillator tool and I am squaring up everything so it is more square, so when I put the new piece of drywall on, it just makes life a little easier. I have one light and one vent to deal with that I'll need to cut out on this job. And those I mark and use a router to cut those out. So this patch was just over 4 feet. The joists were just over the 4 foot, so I had to use a 10-sheet piece of drywall and kind of cut it in half because I think it was like 49 inches in length there. So that's why I hung it this direction. If it were 4 foot or less, I would have done a full sheet going the other way, so there would have been one less seam in the middle. If you look close, those tiny brown squares, and even that thing by the light I just did, those were old screws that I must have missed, so when I put up the new drywall, they broke through, so they turned out to be little patches as well. Here I'm just cleaning up all the edges because I want the edges really nice and prepped before I do prefill. As best I can, I like to keep really clean. The customer always appreciates that, and it just makes the end of the job a lot easier. I always bring a bunch of tarps with me and always put fresh tarps down. We start with prefill first. Prefill is so vital. I talk about it in pretty much every drywall video I do. Prefill is huge when it comes to crack prevention. With all repairs, you do mesh tape only. Do not use paper tape on a repair like this. Then I'm going right over the mesh tape, and I call this my first finishing coat. So my first finishing coat, I'm not really that concerned about getting things flat. I'm really just trying to cover the tape as best I can at this point. Here I'm starting my second finishing coat, so I'm spending a little bit more time trying to widen the seam so we can get flat. This is now my third finishing coat. Here I am taking pretty much every effort I can so to make sure all the butt joints and recess, every joint is just about perfectly flat. I'm still going to do one additional coat, But this, I'm trying to get everything perfectly flat. This is now my final finishing coat. I use a topping compound. It is just a nicer finishing coat. It wipes easier, gives a smoother look. So here, basically this coat is everything is 100% perfectly flat and pristine and smooth. So very little sanding will need to happen, and you'll see that here. I am barely sanding this job. Really, the most of the effort is on the edges, so you don't see that taper. But really, because I've wiped it so beautifully, very, very little sanding. Now we're going on with the texture. This is a classic knockdown texture. There is 100 million varieties of this. So whether you make the mud thick or thin, how long you let it dry before you wipe it, all different styles to match, and that you'll just have to get good at. This one didn't really need any dry time, and it matched perfectly. A little bit of orange peel on the wall is what that is. And boom, that's it. Isn't that perfect? Really, I mean, pause the video if you need to. That texture is dead on. I make a ton of money doing this, and you can too. Don't be afraid of stuff like this. Get out there and make yourself some money. All right, that job is complete. Interesting, isn't it? So that big, large patch was what the main job, but then upstairs there was 5 holes about that big, okay? So that was an addition, and that was on a vaulted, about a 17-foot high vault, those patches. So that's why the price was that. It wasn't just for that. So anyway, so that took me 8.5 hours, about $35 in material. So that was, I just did the math, what was it, 98 an hour for 8.5 hours of work. How many of you can say you make 98 an hour and I worked 8.5 hours today? Isn't that fantastic? Right? Change your mindset how money works. Money is free. Money isn't real. Money is just a stupid game. Anything you can do and make that kind of money, or more even, right? Change your mindset. Subscribe, tell your friends about this channel, and let's get the word out so we can change lives. Thanks.